Welcome to my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.
So welcome back to our discussion on the updates in BP344, the accessibility law. And ito yung pinaka-recent, no? Yung amended na IRR ng BP344. And this is now the last part, no? The part 4 of a series of discussions. At dito sa last part na to, ang i-cover natin ay ang mga requirements on public telephones, ATMs, kiosks, and ticket machines, accessible ticket office counters and information desks, workstations, restaurants, eateries, and other dining establishments, hotels, APARTELLES, dormitories, and other transient lodging facilities, requirements for designated rest areas and equipment for resting, mga dressing rooms and cubicles, pati location of emergency exits, areas of refuge, saka mga service animal provisions, and special types of facilities. So for the requirements for public telephones, so sa areas na maglalagay ng mga public telephones, na so the dialing controls, the coin slots, the receivers, and instructional signs shall be located at a maximum height of 1.2 meters from the finished floor. So ito yung receiver, no? Also, provide a clear, unobstructed space of 1.8 meters by 1.8 meters in front of all mounted and freestanding telephones. So, ang clear space mula doon sa telephone apparatus hanggang sa wall, no? Clear space should be 1.8 meters. At saka sa harapan, dapat ay merong ganong space na width, no? 1.8 meters in front of this telephone area. Now, for establishments that provide public telephones, accessible public phones shall be installed, one for each floor and one for every group of 2 or more phones. So, sa mga required lang to, no, na magpo-provide ng public telephone. So, maglagay ng isa sa bawat floor, no? At kung marami, for every 2 or more phones, one, no? Accessible public telephone facility. And for ATMs, kiosks, and ticket machines, provide a minimum clear unobstructed space of 1.8 meters by 1.8 meters in front of the ATM area. And instructions and all information for use shall be made accessible and independently usable by persons with visual disabilities through, we have braille and tactile surfaces and audio through speakers or earphone jacks. The height of controls, buttons, bill dispensers, card slots shall be from 0.9, so this is a minimum, up to a maximum height of 1.2 meters. Now, counters shall be provided in the kiosk, ATMs, and ticket machines at a height of 750 mm. So, ito yon, no? Merong counter to allow wheelchair users to easily approach. To enable easy operation of the machine by wheelchair users, this space under the counter shall have a minimum depth of about 480 mm. Now, there shall be clear signage indicating the location and function of the kiosks, ATMs, and ticket machines, as well as any instructions for their use. The signage shall be easily visible and located at a height of no more than 2.4 meters above the floor. We now have the requirement for accessible ticket office counters and information desks. So all counters shall apply universal design. 2 level counters one is the low counter and the higher counter, shall be provided in all customer service and ticketing offices and information desks. It shall be accessible both in a standing and sitting position. The lower level of the two-level counter shall have a height of 0.75, this one, and the higher level shall have a height of around 0.95 or 950 mm up to 1.1 meters. The counters shall have a 700 mm minimum vertical legroom space. So sa ilalim ng counter is 0.7 clear space and shall have a counter depth of 480 mm. The clear floor area for a forward approach to a counter or table or a side approach is 1.5 by 1.5 meters. So ito yung counter, merong clear floor area na 1.5 by 1.5 meters. Now, each counter shall be at least 900 mm wide, this one, to provide ample space for people using wheelchairs or mobility aids. We now go to workstations. For accessible, workstations shall account for a minimum of 1% of the total number of workstations available in an office, workspace, or similar environments. And the access aisle shall have a minimum width of 900 mm. So yung mga dadaanan na space between workstations ay may minimum width na 900 mm. The workstations designed for accessibility shall ensure each desk counter is 900 mm wide to provide sufficient space for individuals using wheelchairs or mobility aids. And that this workstation shall include desk counters with a minimum vertical legroom space of 700 mm and a counter depth of 480 mm. This one. For restaurants, eateries, and other dining establishments, a circulation path of at least 1.5 meters wide shall be provided in front of the stalls. Ito yung stalls. Ito yung other spaces, no? Either table or railing. 1.5 meters is the minimum clear distance. No? An accessible route with a minimum clear width of 900 mm shall be provided from the circulation path to the tables intended for persons with disabilities. So ito yung pinaka-aisle width, no? 0.9. Lahat ng dadaanan, clear space mula doon sa mga dining chairs. Now, where fixed seating is provided in eating outlets and establishments, 10% of the total number of dining table shall be accessible to persons with disabilities. Any fraction thereof is equivalent to 1 accessible dining table. So halimbawa, mayroong 22 restaurant tables times 10% of that, yung magiging 2.2 dining tables for accessible dining tables. Pero this is to be rounded off to 3 dining tables. Now, the height of the dining table provided for persons with disabilities shall be 750 mm. That is the maximum height. Again, with a minimum clear knee space of 700 mm and a depth of 480 mm. So, ito yung knee space na depth, no? 480 mm. So, where the eating outlet or establishment is provided with fixed seats and tables, so kung fixed seating yan, tsaka table, ang minimum clear space for persons with disabilities shall be 900 mm by 1.2 meters. So, ito yung space, no, for the persons with disabilities. Now, the sizes of fixed tables shall accommodate 2 wheelchair users. So, kung merong 0.9 by 1.2 na dalawa, then this should accommodate ng dalawang wheelchair users yung table. Now, the service counter shall apply universal design reachable for persons with disabilities. It shall be a 2-level counter design with the lower level having a height of 750 mm, this one, and the higher level having a height of around 950 to 1.1 meters. Again, the counter shall have a knee space depth of 480 mm, and the distance between the lower level and the upper level, yung horizontal distance, should have a minimum distance of 200 mm. Now, for hotels, APARTELLES, dormitories, and other transient lodging facilities, 2% of the total number of guest rooms of hotels, APARTELLES, dormitories, and other transient lodging facilities shall be accessible guest rooms. The bed shall have a maximum height of 500 mm. Adjustable hanger racks or dual height hanger racks with the lower rack installed at 1.2 meters from the floor. And this is a suggested layout of an accessible one-bed guest room, providing a hallway width of 1.2 meters minimum. And on one side of the bed is a 1.5 by 1.5 meters wheelchair space. And the other side of the bed will have a circulation space of 0.7 meters or 700 mm minimum width. Now, this is the suggested layout for an accessible 2-bed guest room, wherein the door opening is minimum of 0.9 width, and after the door opening is a clear space of 1.5 by 1.25 minimum clear space. The circulation space, the width minimum is 1.2 meters. And if you have 2 beds, the distance between 2 beds, clear space, is 0.7. And on one side of the bed shall have the 1.5 by 1.5 meters clearance, wheelchair space. This is the requirement for designated rest areas and equipment for resting. For benches, this shall be stable and shall be arranged in appropriate intervals, not exceeding 30 meters interval distance. So, halimbawa, merong mga walkway na merong lalagay na mga benches, pinaka-maximum distance is 30 meters na merong bench for PWDs. No? At pwedeng ang design ay maglagay ng space for the wheelchair or merong ganitong armrest provision para sa mga non-wheelchair users. Now, for outdoor rest areas, appropriate shading shall be provided to ensure comfort and protection from the elements. Kung nasaan merong bench, meron shade na ipoprovide. And the waiting rooms and areas. For the waiting area shall have a clear floor space of at least 1.8 by 1.8 meters in front of sitting areas to accommodate wheelchair users and their companions. So, ito yung wheelchair area, 1.8 by 1.8 meters. The waiting area shall have at least one unobstructed entrance with a clear width of at least 900 mm wide. So, yung mga door, minimum clearance is 900 mm. and at least 5% of the seating shall be designated as priority seating for individuals with disabilities. Now, for drinking water facilities, where drinking water facilities are provided, at least 2 units, one reachable for wheelchair users, and one for standing people, or a combination of a high-low unit thereof, for example, this one's a combination, shall be provided for dual access in each such location. The height of drinking fountain shall be 750 mm up to 900 mm above the floor. So, yung mas mababa, yung 0.75 or 750 mm, at yung mas mataas is 900 mm. Now, this spout shall be able to extend at least 50 mm from the front edge of the fountain. So, ito ang spout. Now, if a bottle filling station is included, the spout shall extend at least 100 mm from the front edge of the fountain. So, ito yung magiging distance kapag may bottle filling station. Or you can provide a separate provision for bottle filling station. Now, the drinking fountain shall have a clear floor space of at least 1.8 by 1.8 meters in front of and alongside the unit to allow for a person using a wheelchair to access the fountain. So, 1.8 by 1.8 clear space sa harapan ng drinking fountain. The clear knee space of 750 mm wide and 200 mm deep and 650 mm high shall be provided. So, ito yung knee space, no? At a height of 650 and a depth of 200 mm. Ang width niya is 750 mm. Yung toe space naman niya, this one, is also 200 mm deep, 200 mm high, at ang width niya is also 750 mm. Now, for breastfeeding room, there shall be a designated room for nursing and diaper changing purposes that is accessible to all. Also, sensory rooms. Sensory rooms shall serve as designated areas where individuals can seek respite and isolate themselves from excessive sensory stimulation. This room shall be situated in quiet and private areas, ensuring minimal noise and distractions. It shall be easily accessible and conveniently located on the same level as the main public areas. The sensory room shall be large enough to accommodate a wheelchair with enough space for a caregiver or support person if needed. A minimum size of 2.5 meters by 2.5 meters is recommended. Now, the doorway shall have a clear width of at least 900 mm wide and shall be easy to open with no threshold or step. The door shall be designed to allow for access from both the inside and outside in case of emergency. For dressing rooms and cubicles, accessible dressing rooms shall have a minimum clear turnaround space of 1.8 by 1.8 meters. Accessible dressing room shall have a minimum clear door opening of 900 mm and open outwards. Dressing area shall have a coat hook installed on a side wall not more than 1.2 meters from the floor, so yung height, no? And projecting not more than 40 mm from the wall. The accessible dressing room shall have handrails installed 800 mm from the finished floor to top of handrail. The accessible dressing room shall be identified by the international symbol of accessibility mounted at 1.8 meters on center to finished floor at the exterior face of the door. For the location of emergency exits, wall-mounted or freestanding evacuation plans with an embossed floor plan of the building, which would also indicate locations of lobbies, washrooms, and emergency exits through the use of different textures to symbolize the spaces, shall be provided at the main lobby of each floor or other strategic locations. The markings on this evacuation shall be readable by both the blind and the sighted. So, merong braille at merong mga normal lettering. For the requirements on areas of refuge, the minimum dimensions of a refuge area shall be 900 mm 0.9 by 1.2 meters. Ito ay nilalagay sa mga fire exits. Now, we have also requirements for service animal provisions. So, the minimum size for the service animal relief area shall be 3 square meters. So, this one. And the relief area shall have a sign that displays the international symbol of access for people with disabilities and information on the designated use of the area. The relief area shall be equipped with a trash receptacle and a means for disposing of animal waste. Now we go to the special types of facilities. For swimming pools, a clear transfer space of 1.5 by 1.5 minimum with a slope not steeper than 1:12 shall be provided at the base of the swimming pool transfer area or transfer wall. The height of this transfer wall shall be 450 mm measured from the top of the transfer wall to the finished drop deck floor. Also, the transfer wall shall be located at the shallow portion of the swimming pool and shall not be less than 400 mm in width. 2 grab bars shall be provided and spaced at 700 mm the space in between. So, ito yung grab bars. Now, we go to requirements for sports facilities. Benches shall have seats that are a minimum of 500 mm to a maximum of 600 mm in depth and 1.2 meters minimum in length. The benches shall have a seat height of 450 mm above the finished floor. If the bench is not located next to a wall, the bench shall have a back support, this one, that is 1.2 mm minimum in length and extends from a point 50 mm above, so it is space from the seat up to this backrest, 50 mm distance, and to a point of 450 mm minimum above the bench. So from the bench to the top is a total of 500 mm. Now, for team player sitting areas, where provided, fixed team or player sitting area shall contain the number of wheelchair spaces and companion seats based on the number of seats provided, but not less than 1 space. So at least 1 space for team player sitting areas. For exercise equipment and machines, at least 1 of each type of exercise equipment shall have a clear floor space of at least 900 mm by 1.2 meters. So ito, bawat equipment ay mayroong clear space. No? And if the clear space is enclosed on three sides by walls or the equipment itself, tulad nito, mayroong equipment, may wall, the clear space shall be at least 900 mm by 1.2 mm. The clear floor space shall be positioned to allow a person to transfer from a wheelchair or to use the equipment while seated in a wheelchair. For example, to make a shoulder press accessible, the clear floor space shall be next to the seat, tulad nito. But the clear floor space for a bench press, like this one, designed for use by a person using a wheelchair, shall be centered on the operating mechanism. Now we go to the requirements for shooting facilities. If facilities provide fixed firing positions, at least 5%, but not less than one of each type of fixed firing position shall be served by an accessible route. The fixed firing position shall have a 1.5 meters diameter space, this one 1.5 by 1.5, with slopes not steeper than 1:48, so a wheelchair user can turn around and have a level place from which to shoot. Now for bowling areas, at least 5%, but not less than 1, of the total number of bowling lanes shall be accessible. For auditoriums, arenas, theaters, and other assembly areas, 3% of the total seating capacity of auditoriums, arenas, theaters, and other assembly areas shall be wheelchair parking accommodations. Tulad nito, no, malapit siya sa busur, no? Para madali maka-exit ka agad. No? So this area for wheelchair spaces. Each wheelchair viewing position shall be clear, firm, and level. The minimum footprint for a single wheelchair sitting space, the front or rear entry, shall be 900 mm by 1.2 meters. The accessible seating shall be provided with handrails 750 mm high at the front and at the sides. This one. Now, hearing enhancement system shall be provided in A. Function rooms, halls, and auditoriums used for meetings, lectures, performances, or films, and B. At least one of the public information service counters for cinemas, theaters, concert halls, stadiums, museums, theme parks, purpose-built family amusement centers, sport complexes, public swimming pools, hospitals, clinics, transport stations, interchanges, and passenger terminal. Now for transportation facilities, the minimum width of accessible pathways and corridors along the passenger path shall be 1.8 meters. This width shall allow two wheelchair users to pass each other comfortably. In cases where support pillars, columns, or other barriers are present, a minimum clearance of at least 900 mm shall be provided to ensure unobstructed passage. Now, for controlled passages that are accessible to the public and are necessary to complete the passenger journey, such as automated fare collection gates, ticket gates, and queuing lines with railings on both sides, each shall have at least one path with a minimum width of 900 mm. So, mas malaki yung space. Swing or retractable doors for automated fare collection, AFC gates, and equipment alike are required instead of the tripod-type gates and other similar types. Yung merong umiikot na turnstile, no? So, dapat ay ganitong retractable or swing doors ang nilalagay. The minimum clear width of a platform screen door, yan sa mga train stations, shall be 900 mm, measured between the face of the door and the face of the door frame to allow independent maneuvering of a wheelchair. So, ito yung 900 mm na opening. For warning, tactile blocks with a depth of 600 mm shall be installed. So this one, at least 300 mm before every PSD opening. So PSD means platform screen door opening. So respite area shall be provided at every 30 meters or less along the passenger path leading up to the final space prior to boarding in all modes of transportation. So this rest area shall be properly marked for easy recognition, and priority seating shall be given to persons with disabilities. And that's the end of our discussion for BP344, the amended IRR. So watch out for my other succeeding videos on building laws.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.
Enroll at Atlas CDC Review for a comprehensive prep for the Architecture Board exams. Message us now.